Welcome to Straight from the Source with Hayley Watts. Our guest today is Mayor Steve Crowder with the town of Paradise. Steve, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we've known each other for a long time now. You have been a part of the community of Paradise for how much of your life?
Well, I was elected to council 2 days before the Campfire, but we moved to Paradise in 2012, and I started getting involved with the community at that time.
Where did you come from originally?
I came from the Bay Area, San Leandro.
Okay, and when you moved to Paradise, what was it that you and your wife were kind of looking for? What sort of lifestyle were you hoping to get?
Well, basically exactly what we got.
Yeah.
We came to Paradise, and yes, it was all its name implied. It was a small town. We were welcomed like we had been there all our lives.
Yeah.
And it was just a great way to live. We got out of the traffic and the hustle and bustle, and we're just really enjoying where we live.
So before the Campfire was what, about 30,000 people lived there or so?
We were 26,500.
Okay, and it didn't take you long to go from being a newbie in town to suddenly wanting to be a part of your community and engage in the decision-making process. What sort of inspired that? Did you do any sort of local leadership back in the Bay Area?
Well, I was a member of our Rotary Club, and I was involved with our Chamber of Commerce there, and I did the same thing when I came here, and I got involved with some town stakeholder committee things, and I had a longtime council person was not going to run, and he was going to convince me I was going to run, and I remind him of this to this day. I told him I didn't have time. He says, it doesn't take nearly the time that you think. Then the Campfire happened.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So no, and I'm glad I'm where I'm at right now. I want to make a difference there, and that's what I'm trying to do.
You know, we see out of the Campfire, we saw the Paradise Strong sort of movement. We definitely experienced so much coming together when it wasn't not just people from Paradise, but it seems like Butte County and Northern California just like wrapped our arms around everybody who was affected. However, I know that being a town leader, that a lot of times people want more from you, and they expect solutions, and they expect answers, and they expect help. Were there ever times where you felt like, just like your hands were tied behind your back, there was nothing you could do and felt helpless?
Oh, there are. I mean, government works slow, and I've found that out with as many times as I've been in D.C. And it's unfortunate, but you have to work with it because during our rebuild, and which is still going on, but dealing with FEMA and Cal OES, and they're such big government machines. They're there to help. We wouldn't be where we were today if it wasn't for them. But it's like sometimes it felt like they were just in the way.
Yeah. And
but you need them. You work through it, and you get there. And I am grateful they were there.
Yeah. You have traveled to Washington, D.C. to advocate for your town. Tell me about what inspired that.
Well, we had with the Fire Victims Trust and everything, and as people were getting their money, and we're going to end up probably around 70% of the determinations. And if you take a third off for insurance or for attorneys and a third off for taxes, it doesn't leave anybody enough to do anything.
Yeah.
So that money needed to be tax exempt so these people could get on with their lives. And that's what we fought for. And I made, I think, five or six trips there to do that, and we finally got that done last November.
Oh my gosh, what went through your mind when that finally came through?
Oh, it was like relief and hurry up and get it signed before something else goes wrong.
Right.
It was a long time coming, but it really needed it, and it's made a big difference for people.
Yeah. How do you feel about the settlement in terms of what came out of it? And I mean, I know it was pretty monumental in terms of PG&E being held criminally responsible, and yet no people actually were punished.
Well, it's funny. I mean, there was very light punishment, as nobody went to jail over anything. And that's not for me to make a decision on.
Yeah.
But It obviously it affected a lot of people's lives. You know, we lost 85 of our citizens,
Yeah.
and that's tough to this day to to recall.
Yeah.
And it's you know, and PG&E, I've got to say, the undergrounding that they're doing for us is huge, and everybody, is hating on PG&E, and believe me, I get it, because I'm just like everybody else. We lost our home and our business,
Yeah.
and that, but they're trying to make amends, and I know you can't, replace what happened, but the undergrounding, and they've really worked with us in like redoing our downtown. There were some snafus with an engineering firm that we had helping us on that, and PG&E worked through that with us, and so and we're winding down on the undergrounding, so that'll be nice, and we can get back to a little more of normalcy.
Yeah. No, it's interesting when you think about like the bad guy versus the scapegoats in a situation like this, right? I look at the people who work for PG&E, and most of them are just like anybody else, right? You work for a company. Hopefully we all get to choose to work for a company that upholds the values that we share, but sometimes you're just doing a job because you're good at it. You get a good paycheck, you provide health insurance for your family, you're doing the best you can. I often think about who was that supervisor, right? Who was supposed to have made sure that broken C hook was checked. We'll probably never know their name, but that person probably knows exactly where they went wrong, and will have to live with that for the rest of their lives, even if nobody else shames them,
That was really interesting, because after Mike Ramsey charged them and finished up, Mike stopped by and he saw me. He says, "Okay, we're done with the trial. Do you want the the equipment that failed and what have you?" I said, "Oh yeah, I mean we'll put it. It's with the Gold Nugget Museum right now." But that hook, at the time, was probably a $3 hook, and I held it in my hand, and that's what started the whole thing.
It's so wild.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's so many unknowns in this life, right? And there's so many things in hindsight. It's easy to say, well, you should have checked that specific one. It's scary to think, though, how many other things are out there where it's like, oh gosh, but are things getting better? And PG&E says, they've got drones now. They have all this new technology. They have the lines that basically shut themselves off. So hopefully nothing like that will ever happen again.
I hope not, and I hope other communities learn by this. I mean, I was on a 2-hour Zoom with Altadena last night, and they're just starting this journey.
Yeah.
And the one difference, PG&E, and we don't at the time didn't realize how fortunate it was. Right away, they admitted fault.
Yeah.
Well, Southern California Ed is not.
Right.
So they're, all of our attorneys that we had here are down there waiting to pounce, but they can't yet because they filed some suits, but they have not admitted any fault yet.
Oh, speaking of attorneys, so I remember after the Campfire, Aaron Brockovich came up, and then there was the whole Joe Early thing that got passed on to the Watts Square, however you say that last name, the Texas-based law firm. And I still get emails from people who are saying, we should never have hired an attorney. We don't know. They haven't received payments when other people who never paid for legal help have received their payments. Do you know anything about what's going on there?
So Watts Guerrero is in, it's actually Watts now. Watts Guerrero split.
Okay.
But Aaron Brockovich and David Boxer and everything are down in Altadena. And, I think I can easily say that was probably the law firm that I had the most complaints from. And I did, have a lot of dealings with Kathy Yanni.
Yeah.
And, she helped us with those.
Yeah.
We were very fortunate to have her as the administrator after Trotter.
Right.
And so it's, yeah, and I'm still getting those complaints of not returning phone calls and
Yeah.
what have you. And, you know, hopefully it'll work itself out. And I've, you know, talking to Kathy Yanni, and I respect her very much, and I trust her judgment. We had a call with Altadena, and they asked her, you know, do you think that you would be better off not having an attorney? And her response was, no. People that had attorneys did get more money because they knew the ins and outs.
Okay.
She said, but the thing is, you have to have the right attorney.
Ah, okay. And so maybe some of these people who have an attorney actually in the end will end up getting more than they would have, even though they're dealing with the delay and the holdup. The silver lining is that you probably got a better share.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
And there were a lot of complications to it, and I don't know the ins and outs of
Okay.
the formula and all that, but yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, and then for the most part, most people have gotten a good amount of their money, right? We're nearing the end of this.
We are. Everybody's at 70%.
Yeah.
And there will be one more payout. Nobody knows what that is. It's going to be very small, I'm told, because there's still some settlements that have to be made. So you're hopefully this year it'll get finished up, but chances are it'll be, you know, we'll be lucky to get another 1%.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Paradise now. The new Paradise, right? It still has the heart of the original Paradise, but things are a bit different, right? And the people, I mean, there are a lot of people who have moved to Paradise that weren't originally from the town, right?
There are. Our demographics have definitely changed. With the work the schools have done, which is a great thing, we're attracting a lot of younger families.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what our average age is right now, but pre-fire it was about 60. I know we're well below that now. And but people are moving here, you know, for the same reason that most of us did. It's you know, a better quality of life, and we can now work from home. We have the internet that'll sustain that where we didn't prior to. So I think it's all a good thing, and I mean, there's a lot of progress going on. Work every day, and as I'm traveling through the town, getting caught in every construction zone imaginable, I just tell myself, this is progress.
Yeah, definitely.
This is progress.
Right, it's progress. What sort of fun things are there to do in Paradise for a young person?
Well, the Parks and Rec has a lot of stuff on
Yeah.
the table that they want to do. They're working on a BMX type track.
Oh, that's cool. I've heard about that. Yeah.
So, and they've got some variations of that depending on funding. So that'll be good. We've got the theater is in escrow.
Okay.
It is not coming
Oh,
back.
that's right. The movie theater.
Yes,
Right. Yeah.
yes.
Interesting.
Not coming back necessarily as a theater.
Okay.
But part of it we don't know because nobody really wants to disclose, but I've heard rumors maybe part of it might still retain one of the theaters. I don't know what that'll look like.
Okay.
Current movies, old movies, what.
Yeah.
But that would be nice to see.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, you know, we're trying to get things for the kids to do and the adults.
Yeah.
And we have now, which we didn't have before, we have a Palladium, which is has all kinds of video games and all of that in the old holiday market. So we have a lot of progress. I'm really proud of what we've done as a town, and our staff has been amazing. And I mean, we're coming back, and I see it every day.
So when I was in Chico State years ago, when I was younger and reckless, we would always sneak into the flumes, right? You're not supposed to do that, I don't think. Have you ever been back there, though? It's so incredible.
I have never been back. I have heard how incredible it was, and there's books that have been published, and kind of since those books have come out, the no trespassing signs went up, and then the fire kind of did that.
Did the fire impact that infrastructure there?
Some of it.
Okay. Yeah, so it's not what it used to be.
No.
Yeah. It's a cool thing, though, part of Paradise's history.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we were kind of, anything went in paradise for, a lot of time. It was kind of, it was a great place to live. There weren't a lot of restrictions. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously there were still laws, but
Right.
you could you could grow up as a kid there.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's still the same now? I mean, I don't know if it's just a sign of the times in general. It seems like as a parent, it's much scarier even just to send your kid to the park today than it was 15, 20 years ago when I was growing up. You just never know, like, what kind of people are hanging around in public parks. I mean, do you feel like that's a little bit different up in Paradise versus down the hill?
Oh, I definitely feel it's different.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, it couldn't happen there. I mean, there's creeps everywhere.
Yeah.
And but I feel very safe in Paradise. We have a PD that is so proactive and doing such a great job. I can't say enough about them. I love talking to county residents. Say, hey, we want your PD.
Right.
I mean, we've got the bad guys coming up the hill to sell drugs. The word in the street there is, oh, you better go up through Butte Meadows, because if you go through Paradise, they're going to pull you over
Yeah.
for something. So
Yeah.
I think we're doing a great job there.
You must see all sorts of wildlife up there. Have you ever encountered a mountain lion or a big bear in your yard or out in the community somewhere?
I've never seen a mountain lion, but we had a big bear on our front porch while we were building. I had a mama bear and her 3 cubs in the garage before the garage doors
what did
went
you
up.
do?
I just saw them on Ring camera,
Okay,
and I mean, they weren't super aggressive or
Right.
anything.
Well, yeah, because you haven't messed with the cubs yet.
No,
Yes.
no. But this morning, I have deer that seem to love my motorhome, and they go underneath the back and get in the shade.
Yeah.
And this morning, my wife went out there, and there were 9 of them out there. So yeah, we have a lot of wildlife.
No Bigfoot sightings, though.
No.
So what do you think about this wolf issue, though? We could see wolves on the ridge in not so long. I mean, if they're on the endangered species protected list right now, and you're seeing more and more counties tracking them. I haven't seen any in Butte.
I have not seen any in Butte or heard any, sightings.
Yeah.
It's, I feel bad for the ranchers that are losing,
Yeah.
livestock.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what the answer is. I know, people are looking to find a way to stop them, and I get that.
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't come to Butte County. I don't know
It
how we'll
seems
keep them
inevitable.
out. Oh, well, maybe the signs that say, no entry will keep them out. I don't know.
Right, maybe. Yeah, just put like an electric fencing
Yes.
and activate the collars. No, I mean, it's such an interesting issue. They're incredible, beautiful, intelligent animals, and I understand that whole restoration project in Yellowstone. I understand the thinking behind it, but it's kind of like, at what point, when you're not allowed to do anything, having, dogs and cats and kids and stuff, it's scary, and my livelihood doesn't even depend on it, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny, I'm seeing and hearing a lot more coyotes in Paradise.
Interesting.
And I'm sure they were there before, but I never really encountered them before.
Yeah.
They're very prevalent now.
Okay, so let me ask you, because my experience, I grew up in Agora Hills, Southern California, so it's kind of Santa Monica Mountains, it was, especially when I was younger, it was more rural, so I would see coyotes all the time, but they were incredibly spooked by humans. And that's like the difference that I hear from people about the wolf versus coyote thing, is that wolves they don't seem to be afraid of us. Now, have you seen coyotes act very comfortable around people?
I've seen one on my street, and he was walking or trotting down the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I was inside and saw him, so I wasn't close to him, but he didn't seem to be, too worried about it. And I have 2 small dogs, and especially at night, even in the fenced backyard, they don't go out there, because I've seen them in the field next to us.
Yeah.
So they don't go out in the yard, although I've never had an issue.
Yeah, okay. So as Paradise starts to rebuild, we're seeing a lot of businesses come back, which is pretty cool. And then we're seeing some new businesses that weren't there before. Do you have any favorite new ones?
Well, I think Tractor Supply was a huge
yeah.
asset to us and very much needed. Ross also, before the fire, I heard, we need a good clothing store.
Yeah.
Big Lots was a good addition. Unfortunately, for no fault of Paradise, they went out of business.
Yeah.
Those were the biggest additions and probably the most impactful. Grocery Outlet coming back was huge. So now we have Save Mart and Grocery Outlet. Unfortunately, we lost the Holiday Market.
So that was weird. Holiday Markets closed down in Paradise, but then they opened one in Magalia, right?
They did. That was a Save More, but at one point, Save More and Holiday are the same company.
Okay, same ownership.
So at one point they were a Holiday, went to Save More, and now went back to Holiday.
So do you go to Magalia for Holiday, or you just stick with Paradise?
I've gone to the deli there when I've been going up through Magalia, because I miss their deli that they had here. But it was just kind of a shame they were here for a long time. It was a shame. I hate to lose any business.
I know whenever I was reporting up in Paradise, that would be my go-to place to just grab a drink or lunch. I just like that store. It's a cool, kind of has a family feel, like earthy, more natural foods and stuff. And so it was a good business. But okay, so maybe the most controversial thing I will ask you. Are you mad at Chico for opening an ice rink?
I can't.
I'm not hearing a hard no.
I can't say I'm mad at them. They made the decision to do that, and I guess I would say maybe timing wise for us it may have been bad timing, but I mean I understand what they did, and I was actually invited to go down there for their grand opening, which I went.
See, and I kind of felt like that was their way of trying to say, see, Steve's okay with it.
Well, I mean, in the spirit of being a good neighbor, the idea was hopefully, here's one in the big city and here's one in the rural area, come and check out both of them.
Totally.
And I don't think that is the reason that our ice rink is no more.
Right.
It was struggling, it was expensive to do.
Yeah.
And it never did make any money.
Right.
And, I don't believe it ever broke even. So that was a decision that was made. They tried the synthetic ice the last time they were there, and that didn't go over very well.
Have you ever skated on synthetic?
I have not.
I haven't either.
And I didn't hear real favorable things about it. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe one day it will come back. Yeah.
Okay. But this upcoming season, we're not going to have the ice rink. I mean, for the foreseeable future.
No.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it's funny. I never had been to either of the ice rinks until this past season. I checked out Chico, and it was fun. It's kind of a small rink, and I think Paradise was about the same size. Yeah. But the morning of the Campfire, I was reporting, and it was opening night for the ice rink. And so I was out there and, doing live shots in the dark the morning that fire started, promoting the rink coming back. And it was just what incredibly poor timing and kind of hard to believe. It was so cold. It was winter time. Who would have thought?
Oh, yeah. And that day of the fire was extremely warm.
Yeah.
And I remember, and then the weirdest thing was we went from daytime to nighttime.
The sky
was a short amount of time.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible. Now, Paradise has such a different landscape now, of course, because of how hot that fire burned. There are some places where there's still kind of the foresty sort of look, but not so much. What are you seeing in terms of like reforestation efforts and, getting more trees up there?
Well, and I think that will come. I mean, we did a study, and there's been, plans that have been circulated. We haven't moved forward yet, but we still have a tree removal program that should have started 3 years ago.
Okay.
That hasn't yet. Hopefully, in the next 60 days, it will start, and there's 10,000 more trees that are going to come out.
Oh, wow. They're still removing
Yes.
fire damaged trees.
Yes.
Now, is there an issue with people, like, so when the trees are on the town's property or trees are on private property, PG&E comes up and it's their responsibility to remove them, right, because of the fire that burned it down. But, oh, no? Not always? Well, but also I've heard people say, like, they want to keep the wood and they want to keep their trees. I mean, how does that get worked out?
Well, I know when PG&E was cutting trees, at first they weren't allowed to leave wood, and then that changed.
Okay.
If you wanted the wood left,
You could
they would-
ask for it.
and they
Okay.
would leave it.
Yeah.
One of the issues at the beginning was we were trying to keep log decks out of Paradise.
Okay.
And
That's just like a big stack
yes.
of lumber. Okay.
And, you know, if PG&E cuts 10 trees, everybody with their best intentions, oh yeah, just leave me the wood.
Right.
Well, and then 3 years later, these log decks are still sitting there.
Right.
That was the reasoning behind that. So, but people were allowed to keep it after that. Here, sign this that you want to leave them, and then that was part of our code enforcement, you know, is if you had log decks, you had to remove them.
Yeah.
So now PG&E's not so much in cutting any of the trees that are left. They're this is the third tree removal program we've had. All of them were connected with FEMA-funded removal, and this is the last one that we've got officially going, and I'm sure there'll still be some trees left.
Yeah.
But it's going to help. It's been a long time coming. We've had trees fall through homes, rebuilt homes, which is horrible. I'm disappointed that it's taken this long to get it done. That was not the way it was supposed to work, but that is the way it's ended up.
It just always seems to go that way, huh? Do you feel like people, to a certain extent, have been priced out of Paradise with different ordinances and things that have basically had to happen to make the community more fire safe? It's also more expensive to create a more fire safe community and a fire safe home?
It is, and I don't know that the ordinances so much priced them out. What really was the big factor was the building cost. Not even, I mean, we went overnight from $200 a square foot
Yeah.
to $350 a square foot.
Right.
And, you know, it's come down a little bit, but it's still expensive.
Yeah.
So, you know, the average house in Paradise right now is probably $450,000. It was probably $225,000 before the fire. So yeah, it's priced people out. And it's funny because I've been involved a lot with Southern California fires. I'm listening to them, and I mean, that's the same thing they're facing. And I mean, their houses to start were a lot more expensive than
Right.
ours. But when I was out there on tour, one of them said, "See that lot over there?" I said, "Yeah." Said it was up for sale for $800,000, and it sold for $875,000.
Oh my gosh.
And that's just raw dirt.
Wow.
And that's in Altadena, not
Yeah.
Palisades.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yes.
I remember right after the fire, lots in Paradise were selling for like $10,000 because people just already decided, not coming back, I don't want to deal with it. But that's not really the case anymore.
No, the lots are up. I mean, they're still, you know, depending on the lot, $35,000 to $50,000 for
Yeah.
a lot. But you still have the building costs,
Right.
and insurance is a huge issue for us.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, is pretty much everybody on the FAIR plan at this point?
I would say the majority of Paradise is on the
Yeah.
FAIR plan, and it's going to be really interesting to see what happened to that. My insurance company left California in December of last year, and
What did you have? State Farm?
we had American Modern.
Okay.
And so they noticed us that they were pulling out of California. I thought we were safe after the park fire, because after any fire where an evacuation has been, warning even has been
Right.
called, they can't cancel you for a year.
Yeah.
So I thought we were good. Well, when you're leaving California, that doesn't apply.
Right, because the whole company's gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I asked my broker, I said, okay, I mean, I know the amount of insurance that's going through the FAIR plan, and I'm knowing the amount of backing for it, and it's not there. I mean,
Yeah.
if it was a private company, it would have been taken over by the government because they don't have the funding.
Right.
So what happens in a disaster? He said, well, it'll probably work. Well, guess where a lot of the insurance in LA was? It was with the FAIR plan.
Yeah.
So that is a totally insolvent.
Yes. It's a huge problem.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure if my house burns, I probably would be okay. But if you have another disaster like the LA fires,
Right.
how are you going to cover those?
You can't really call Paradise like a high fire risk area right now because of the lack of trees, right? I mean, we're still at the point where not so much has grown back.
No, I think
But-
we had Mercury Insurance come into Paradise and physically come in and look and go, wow, you guys are really, you know, you're doing a great job with your ordinances and what you're doing. So we're going to write 200 policies here
Yeah.
and we'll go from there. So this has just started.
Right.
So I'm hoping that other companies will come in and follow their lead and look around. We've got probably the strictest weed ordinance, you know, around. Defensible space, we had a 95% compliance on weed abatement last year. So I think we're good. Not saying a fire couldn't happen.
Right.
But if you eliminate this fuel, you're going to mitigate the degree of these fires.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our intent.
Yeah. The where did you guys land on the animal ordinance, the rules around what was the deal with that? People thought they were trying to tax animals, but that
We had one individual that wanted to do something that he wasn't allowed to do at this time, and that was put a structure on a vacant parcel
Okay.
where you could house goats or what have you. So we agreed to look at that
Yeah.
with some restrictions. And then it just totally got blown out of proportion, and we were getting these calls from, and this is in an affectionate way, the crazy chicken people that thought we were going to eliminate chickens.
Right.
And you know, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And then there was, you know, rumors, oh, it's an $1,800 annual fee. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's a $340 administrative fee.
Right.
One time. And if you have a house on that property, it doesn't even apply.
Okay.
So it just got totally blown out of proportion and rumors and
Yeah.
and all of that. But it's straightened out now, and staff will come back to us with the version, which is going to be, I think, pretty similar. Is you will be able to do that, but you're going to have to pay an administrative fee. And if you could put a shelter up for goats, but if you want to put a ag building or power or anything like that, you'll have to get a building permit, same as you would for any other dwelling. But you can now do this in an AR3 or an AR5 parcel without a house attached.
Okay. So I'm sure this is not the first time there was a misunderstanding about something that the town was working on. How do you keep your cool when you're being accused of things?
I mean, I understand how it is, and I try to, you know, put myself in other people's situation. This one kind of got me a little bit because I had spoken to that individual when I was at the Reagan Airport in D.C. waiting to come home, and then that Saturday I had a conversation. So I don't know where we exactly went sideways on the understanding, but I mean, you do what you do, you explain the best you can, and then, you know, you try to sort it out later.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't do any good to get, well, I'm sure it affected my mood. My wife would probably say that, but
We never see that side of you. We only see the, you know, happy. You're nice to every one of our reporters. Everybody has great things to say about Steve,
thank
but
you.
we all have the other. You need some sort of outlet, right?
And it's but you know, again, I want to, I love this community. I love living here, and I just want to get us, you know, through this difficult time as best as I can.
If somebody was going to go check out Paradise for the first time and they just wanted to get a feel for like the heart of the community, you've got 2 hours, what would you do?
Oh, I think I would drive them around. I would show them, you know, what we've got there. I'd take them through what potentially will be our new downtown. I'd drive them by our schools. PID's got some great things happening, and just show them the potential that's here. And even right now, you know, the quality of life here. I can't imagine living anywhere else. I mean, I spent the majority of my life in the Bay Area, and when I grew up in the Bay Area, it was a great place.
Yeah.
And it changed. I left in 2001, and you know, I've seen a lot of changes then, and there's even more now. So I think we've got a lot to offer somebody, and especially with families. Even, you know, my daughter is older than you, and even her growing up in the Bay Area at that time, it was like, you know, where are you going to be, where are you going, and it wasn't like when I grew up, is I'll just be home when the streetlights go out or go on. So you know, and I just don't, I feel very safe here.
Yeah. Do you think that sewer is going to happen, really?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's not going to happen like we had it planned.
Yeah. Still a pipeline plan, though, to Chico?
It will not.
Okay.
That, we will never find funding for that.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to be done in stages over years, and probably be a 15, 20-year project before it gets out. But our main focus to start will most likely be the downtown area. It'll probably be a super small system. We haven't decided on what kind yet.
Yeah.
But I think the direction we're going is whatever money we physically have right now, without looking for anything more, that's what we're going to say, okay, what can we get for this pot of money, and where can we go within this footprint?
Yeah.
And that's what we'll do. And yeah, I believe that will happen. And then as we get more grants and what have you, we'll put in a system that can be expanded on over that. And, you know, hopefully eventually go into the same direction and area that was supposed to happen all at once.
Okay. I know that you've only been on town council for, well, more than a decade now, right?
Well, 6.5 years.
6.5 years. Not
Feels
quite.
like a decade.
I'm a journalist. That means I'm not good at math. Those two things go hand in hand. Yeah, so 6.5 years, right? Is there a certain point at which, like, if once I accomplish this, maybe then I'll hang up my hat?
So I have 1.5 years left.
Okay.
And I'm probably not going to run again. It's been, my wife has taken over our business, and all of that has fallen on her since the fire. And I'm no help there at all. So she's doing it all. And
what is your business?
Embroidery and shirt printing.
Oh, okay. Are you the one who makes those Honey is my homie hats? No, I'm just kidding.
We actually have done a couple.
Oh, okay.
But no, it's been really hard on her, and for the most part, she's done it joyfully. Not always, but for the most part.
Right.
And otherwise, I couldn't do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I will be forever grateful to her for that. But everything that I'm doing right now, I'm scheduling around town business.
Yeah.
And I want to travel in my motorhome. And while I'm still able to do it.
Yes.
And I don't want to have a time restraint.
Right.
So, and I want her to slow down and, you know, be able to enjoy some things too. So I have the sewer's a big want for me. Healthcare, those are probably my two biggest things that I've been fighting for since, you know, since I've been there. And, you know, I'm hoping that I'll have the sewer, I'm sure I will The healthcare, I'd like to have at least a game plan on that by
Yeah.
the time I'm done.
Okay, well, I'm sure that so many people are grateful for that and, wish you well for whatever comes next. And, it's like we just move on to the next phase of life, and it's always throwing new adventures at us. So I'm excited to see what comes next for you and your family.
Well, thank you. And this has been, I'll tell you, it has been probably, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this is probably the best thing that I've ever done, the thing I probably cherish the most of what I've done, because it's working hard to make a difference.
Yeah.
And it affects a lot of people, and I kind of think that's what it's all about.
All right, thank you so much for being here today, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. I decided to offer this podcast after enough of you let me know that you wanted a deeper dive into certain stories than you get on our TV broadcasts. We elect certain people to represent our voice, but who are they really? My hope is that this podcast answers that question. I love your feedback, and I want to know who you'd like to hear from next. Just fill out that comment section and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify.